there is ample evidence that within a pyramid, a body that has died, like a dog, cat, whatever, they don't rot, they dry. Now the question is this: why did the Egyptians, if this has been the case, why did the Egyptians start the mummification? Why didn't they just put the body in a place where it could dry out and be remaining the way that it had been? So I personally think that drying out within a pyramid is probably a better solution than mummification. So practical question. Enigmatic probably.
Anybody wants to comment on that?
I'm sorry, I don't have a view on this subject, and I'm not sure how great the pyramids are at preserving bodies, as a matter of fact. But I have seen some of the work. Does anybody actually have a view on this subject?
Can somebody repeat the question specifically?
You were saying that bodies dried out inside the pyramids. First of all, none of us here, I think, believe that people go inside pyramids as dead people. Is anybody that does? I think if a dog dies, I think it's the dryness of the desert air. I think is I've heard stories like that as well, and experiments also done with small pyramids and all kinds of pyramids, and there's no real scientific background to that. I don't know if any of you have come across any scientific background proving it. No.
So we can't answer that in any definitive way.
You got a stump.
Yeah. Silence from the panel.
We'd rather be honest with both.
Next question.
Need a mic.
Here we go. Just hold on. Speak into
If you look into Catholicism and if you look into Catholicism and why saints are canonized and that sort of thing, and they talk about how bodies don't decompose. One's got to say, well, hold on, how much wine have they had? Are they pickled, or is it their food? I mean, who knows what they're eating? But obviously, there's some sort of environment, something that they're doing, internally. They do remove the organs anyway. Yeah. But usually it's a matter of the blood decomposing. With saints, they don't decompose. I mean, there's certain, one needs to look into that.
Right, who's got a question? Scott.
Just two very quick questions. Klaus, can you just tell us how big that amazing disc was? How big is it physically? The disc that you thought might have been the progression from with the tadpoles and the sperm and the egg and everything.
The black disc.
Yes. How big is it physically?
How big?
Yeah, roughly.
22 centimeters.
22 centimeters. Okay, thank you. And the next question was to Wayne. I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. What is the question mark?
The question mark, you were saying that some people were thinking the question mark was a symbol itself.
No. You were pointing to this blank area, and
right.
What was supposed to be there?
On this Solomon key, when the orientation of Orion is at a specific angle, at that specific angle on the horizon, when it is at that angle, I'm measuring what should be on the horizon. The ancients thought stars being born on the horizon was the place to measure them. And on the Solomon key, it seemed that both these constellations seemed to be in the right orientation above the horizon at that distance. It's a distance above the horizon. There should be something measurable. And that star fits in that spot when the orientations are correct.
Okay, so it was pointing to a star.
Yeah, that's hiding behind the horizon there, or on the horizon that we should be looking for. It's too small to be seen anyway, so even if it was there, you'd need a telescope, but it's pointing in that area to look.
So you have proven that there is something behind it? Or?
Yeah, we've measured that point in space.
So you've actually found the star that's...
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Sunlight star, yeah.
Just pass the mic on to the next.
A question about archaeoastronomy. Most people out there who know only the first thing about the subject archaeoastronomy think that what we do is we get hold of Sky Globe or one of these astronomical animation programs, and then we tick it back to any number we choose, BC, and we read off the sky and the horizon configuration on the screen, and then we match that to something on the ground, and voila, we have a date. However, and from that it's now become almost gospel that the Sphinx equals the age of Leo equals BC 10,500. But should we not consider that the precession cycle is itself an assumption? which basically Plato and everyone has written about it, has made that assumption. It's a very neat assumption, but it shouldn't be. The precession rate is an assumption on which the software is based. The obliquity of Earth is an assumption. The Newcomb curve of the obliquity is an assumption that's assumed to hang around 23.5 degrees as it is now and forms a sine curve. Whereas, in fact, there may have been a bump, and that bump would have seriously affected obliquity. And the software also assumes that the Earth orbital radius is around current value, and there is work from Russia and elsewhere that indicates that that's not the case. Given all these uncertainties, should we be applying dates as far as 10,500 BC and read off dates of monuments from there?
Fair question. I think you have to work with what you've got. Precession, to my mind, is not an assumption. It's a fact. It's been observed and documented for long enough for it to be a fact. What causes precession is an assumption. The notion that precession is caused by the pull of the sun and the moon, that is not proven. Over in the US, the Binary Research Institute, headed by Walter Cruttenden, is proposing a totally different mechanism for precession, suggesting that our sun is part of a binary system, as a great many of the stars in the sky are, that we don't know our binary companion yet, but that we're in orbit around it on a vast circular journey through the heavens, which takes 26,000 years to complete, and would produce the same observable as the wobble on the Earth's axis that is proposed for the cause of precession. So I would say the observed effects are beyond an assumption, but the cause remains to be decided. As to the obliquity, the best scientific evidence is that that does change, that there is a change in obliquity of several degrees over a period of time, and that there's a cycle to that too. But I agree with you, we don't know enough. These are research tools. We're trying to use them as best as we can, match up with ancient knowledge, ancient observations, and see where it takes us. I personally was very glad when the computer programs were introduced. Sky Globe was a very basic one. Now, for example, SkyMap Pro is a lot better, takes account of proper motion of the stars and so on, which is another important factor. But I don't think anybody's claiming that this is absolutely perfect. I just think it's taken us a lot further forward than we were before.
I'm Dolph. Hello? I'm Dolph Bierman, and I do some amateur studies about these things. As a kid, around about 1968, 70, I read all the books of Eric von Däniken, Clark, and all those people. They have reported on findings of these discs of the other ugly people in the Central East.
They've reported on what, sorry?
On the finding of these discs with prints on, almost like the gramophone discs, but with very, very fine quality print on it that they couldn't read, but there were stacks of them. That came from a UFO landing, crash, and all those people became extinct. That's one of the interesting things. The other one is platinum statues that I talked about. But then there's another factor that I have got great difficulty with always is alignments, that we talk about the alignments. Because what is currently happening at this very point in time, there's a rift of over 7 meters wide in Ethiopia. That's exactly the same as the Mid-Atlantic Rift. Do you know about it? Now that rift is, in fact, continental movement. Indian-Pakistan plateau is currently pushing in under the Himalayas. It's a very slow process. But what happens is that the continent's positions change. Now we make very fine assumptions about those continent positions.